Grounded was initially released in early access way back in July of 2020, and the full game was then released in September of 2022. But now it has finally just been released on the PlayStation 5 and the Nintendo Switch, alongside being given its latest update, Fully Yoked. For those of you who have never played the game before, or for those of you who only played early access and are contemplating revisiting Grounded with this brand new update, you're probably wondering whether it's actually worth playing now in 2024. Well, I've been diving back into the game after a period away to find out exactly that. So let's go ahead and get stuck in. If you're totally new to Grounded, it's basically a survival game that can be played in first or third person, and it sees your character shrunk down to the size of an ant and facing the horrors of the backyard. Now, if that sounds like a familiar concept to you, you've most likely seen or you're most likely aware of the film Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. There's a throwback for you. What a classic. Anyway, in the game you can take control of one of four teenagers, either Max, Willow, Pete or Hoops, and you need to consume an adequate amount of food and water, otherwise, well, you're dead, bruh. The backyard is filled with a variety of bugs and insects, most of which are out to kill you, just for walking by, those bar stewards, but some of them can give you a helping hand, like the ladybug, who may lead players to food sources. As you progress through the game, you'll be able to access new areas of the backyard, craft new items including weapons, armour and base building components, but the game's difficulty will slowly increase and you'll be introduced to more dangerous enemies. And that's where the crafting side of things come into play. So let's talk about that. For the most part, the crafting menu in Grounded is pretty damned impressive in size, especially when you look at the weapons you can create, including a variety of bludgeons, swords, bows and bombs. The crafting and construction side of the game benefits massively from its setting, so even though you're making familiar items like walls, chests, swords, every single item still reinforces the fact that you're the size of an ant. So you won't be building swords out of steel, oh no, you'll have to hunt down and kill a deadly mosquito and harvest its body parts and put that towards the sword. And the same goes for everything else. You'll be constructing bases out of materials like grass, tree sap and pieces of pine cones, and then there is the armour you can craft to protect yourself from the many dangers of the backyard. You can create a wide variety of armour, some of which is better at protecting you against the dangers than others, but all of these can be crafted from anything you can find on your explorations, ranging from clover and acorns to red ants and spiders. Absolutely nothing in the backyard is useless, as everything can be used in a recipe of some form or another. And the further you get into the game, the more items you'll be uncovering, and to learn all, or at least most of these crafting recipes, alongside leveling up of course, you'll have to use the resource analyzer, which you're introduced almost straight away. The list of craftable items is extensive, and I often find myself just looking through the craft menus and thinking, damn, how did they come up with that? It truly is one of the best crafting systems I've used in a long time. With a lot of survival crafting games, the learning curve from the outset can be a bit steep, and it can be quite a frustrating process to get to grips with it. But Grounded tends to guide you better than most, which is a credit to the team behind the game. I didn't play much of the game when it first came out a couple of years ago, so getting back into it recently was basically me playing it again for the first time, and I didn't really have the struggle here like I have had in a few other games. Grounded basically does a really good job of guiding you and helping you clarify what you need, though it must be said this doesn't make the combat easier or the base building any less time consuming. It merely just sets you up better within the first few hours. And it's more than welcoming than some other crafting games or survival games in the same genre. The combat in Grounded can be difficult, especially early on. If you come up against an orb weave, a spider, before you've crafted better weapons or armour, and especially in single player mode, it's basically a death sentence. Even in co-op it's almost a death sentence really early on, and hell, even the tiny spiders can put up a decent fight right from the off, and I find myself dying an embarrassing amount of times wielding only a pebbler axe. You know, the most basic axe in the game. Though, the more you progress through the game and the more resources you analyse, you can unlock better recipes for better weapons, including ranged weapons, which makes combat a slight bit easier as it's from a distance. And a lot of people watching this may play Grounded in co-op mode, where combat and base building is made easier and less time consuming, but if you're playing single player like me, be prepared for quite a challenge when it comes to combat. though it does make it more interesting than being a piece of cake, I think. After not playing Grounded for well over a year, I decided to start again from scratch to see what it is all about now with the numerous new updates and enhancements. So all of this footage I've captured is from the first, 5 or so hours of the game, and it won't include any spoilers at all. There is also a story in Grounded, and a lot of it is given to you via audio logs you uncover and the occasional cutscene here and there, though it's not as in-depth or as engaging as some other games. But then it's not designed to be really. You're here to explore, craft, build, and ultimately survive the perils of the backyard whilst being the size of an ant. I will say though, the story was certainly engaging enough and it had enough mystery to keep it going, but I wouldn't replay the game for the story alone. I would replay it for, well, literally everything else, because ultimately that is where the game really thrives. Grounded is a wonderfully presented title with cartoony visuals, and it performs really, really well, to be honest. In the time I've been playing it, I've not come across any bugs. Well, gameplay bugs at least. I've come across a fecking boatload of actual bugs that are trying to kill me. But don't let these cartoonish visuals fool you. This game is out to kill you straight from the off, and it won't hold back whilst doing so. Anyone with a problem with spiders can actually enable an arachnophobia safe mode. Though I haven't tried it myself, it's a nice feature that it actually exists. The backyard is beautiful and full of colourful biomes that stretch across this miniature kingdom, and it is jam-packed full of flora that is just waiting to be explored. You could be wandering through forests of grass towering over you, swimming through a pond covered in bright green lily pads, or climbing the small branches of a back garden hedge. But every inch of this world is just wonderful to look at and explore, and pretty much everything in this world that you can find can be repurposed into something else. But whilst Grounded can be a bit of a grind from time to time, much like any other survival game out there, it is such a joyous experience to see your skills, abilities and confidence grow with every new crafting item you unlock, whether that's a new armor set, a new weapon, or even something as simple as a water canteen. Exploring this world is a truly enjoyable experience, and Obsidian have created a wonderfully dangerous world which makes it one of the best survival games out there right now. And certainly one of the best survival games for years. I can see myself playing this game for hours on end, and I look forward to every time I can pick it back up again. And there you have it folks, that is my overview of Grounded since its latest update and of course new console release. I honestly love coming back to this game, and I will be playing it a lot now, and I would recommend any of you to give it a go if you're able to. You'll be able to sink hours upon hours into it and have a great time doing so. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you found it useful, and if you're still here, it would be totally awesome if you could support my channel by hitting those like and subscribe buttons. You can now also become a channel member as well, and as always, thank you for watching this video, and I will catch you in the next one.